Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Tuesday night Eventide stream. How's everybody doing here this fine Tuesday night? Excited to come to you tonight and talk about a handful of things, actually. I realized that, I'm getting close to the end of part 2 of Wolfram's Fate. My playtesting should be wrapped up on that within the next week or two, tops. And then we're moving on to part 3. So I'm already kind of wrapping this up. I'm doing the last bits of writing and kind of fleshing out some encounters. I need to go back through and rewrite a couple things based on some playtest feedback, and stuff like that. So, there's still work to be done. But one of the things I wanted to talk to folks about tonight is the last day of the Eventide Festival, which takes place in part 2 of Wolfram's Fate. The Eventide Festival happens, and during the 3-day festival, the first night is like a Halloween, the second night is like a day of remembrance, but the third day is actually the festivities take place during the day because it's to commemorate when light fully came back to the world. And it's a harvest festival, when everyone gathers together to share what they have, to prepare for the winter to come. All of it narratively ties to kind of what happened at Eventide as well. So that's pretty exciting. A little while back, we did have a bit of a brainstorm about what sort of things we might do. And here tonight, I kind of want to walk through some of those, talk about what they might actually be, how to keep them moving, how to keep everybody interested, and how to keep the whole thing fun. Before we do that, I got a couple other things I want to talk about as well. One, I'm going to go ahead. Let's see if I can... Let's... yeah, let me bring this up, and as I suspected, it wasn't going to be quite right. Let's see. Hold. There we are. Okay, so I wanted to show you the current state of the layout of part 1, just so you can see where I'm going with this. And we'll keep it over here. I'm going to be... let me move a bit over so that I'm still in frame. So what I wanted to do was show you just kind of where we're at, state of the layout here. It's coming along nicely. I spent a good chunk of time last night playing around with it. And yeah, I walked you through some of this layout in one of our streams recently. This is now polished and to the point where I consider these pages done. So that's kind of where we're at. Where I'm not fully done with the layout of the adventure yet. There is actually one thing I want to do with the template still with the page numbers. But literally this layout is finished. This is what part 1 of Wolfram's Fate is going to look like. Yeah, so this is all copy fit. Everything is ending where I want it to. The art has been placed. I've went and done all my trimming and trimmed out all my widows and orphans and tried to make things line up on pages the right way by doing a little bit of light rewriting here and there. You can see I've started placing in the art. Here's Lieutenant Havanok. So she's making her appearance here in the adventure, in the first spot where you meet her. Here's the map. Now this is really important. I want you to pay attention to this map, right? So you've got the kind of entrance area, room 1, then you've got 2, which is kind of this grand hall. Room 3 is over to the left. There is the dining hall. Room 4 is the kitchen. Room 5 is the tapestry room. Room 6 is the study, and room 7 is a lecture hall. So kind of going around the map. This is really important because I posted something, and I'm going to show it to you all here today. I've been playing around with a bit of software, and I think what I'm going to do is make these files available to all of you. So as part of your patronage, you will get this adventure either for a substantial discount or free. But in addition to that, I think I'm going to give everyone a couple extra perks and a couple extra benefits. So yeah, that's and I'll walk you through one of those benefits here in just a moment. So as you can see here, here's the Major Domo. He's making his first appearance. And there is the tapestry. So, this is kind of where I'm at layout-wise right now. I'm about halfway done. There are more pages than this, but they weren't quite finished, so I didn't include them. But all of these pages are 100% done. So the layout on this is getting close. I expect that I'm going to be done with this adventure soon. So let me go back to the map here. And let me go and grab this. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go and... Oh, nope. Go ahead and just zoom in on the map here. There we go. And so, yeah, this is the map. You can get a good look at it. And while I'm getting a good look at that, I'm going to bring up a little something else. Hold on just a second. So yeah, a lot of those art pieces, right, are art pieces that, frankly, your patronage helped me pay for. You know, I went to my artists and I ordered the pieces. I saw a question here talking about artists. On Saturday, I did a video for Lord and Master tier patrons talking about the process by which you order art. And one of the questions I'm seeing right now is do I approach my artist with the price that I have in mind or my limits? I usually go to them and I'm very blunt and I'm like, this is how much I pay. And if they say, I'm sorry, that's below my rates, I say, thank you, good luck, and I move on. In some cases, if they're close and I have budget, I can try and find a way to eke out if I'm only ordering 3 pieces from somebody and they're $50 more than what I wanted, I might be willing to do that, depending on the artist. I certainly did that with the artist who did my iconic Penumbras. I liked his art style so much that I paid him a little more than I normally would. So, yeah. Let me do this. And now let me bring up something else. I'm going to add a brand new window here. I'm going to grab, this is going to be a window capture. Okay. So, what you are seeing here is, and I'm going to go ahead and make this disappear. So, there's the map of the first level of Wolfran's Tower. And here it is, rendered in Dungeon Alchemist. So, this is the dungeon rendered in 3D. And it gets even better than that, because you can hop into a character here and go inside. Isn't this awesome? I felt like I had to show this to all of you because I knew you folks would be pretty excited about it. It's not all the correct assets, but, you know, like these statues should be a wizard, but, you know, pretty close. Here's the pipe that's on the mantle, the decanter that you can retrieve. You can go in here and go to the dining room. This is the cart that animates and attacks you. This is the kitchen where the furnace attacks you. One of my favorite bits is that this, if you're wondering, this leads back to... So, the painting of the tapestry is in there. I'm able to insert it. Oh, hey, that's really weird. Why didn't it... Huh. Hold on. Sorry about that. I didn't realize that it wasn't showing it to you, and I don't know why it's not. Huh. That's really weird. So, interestingly enough, it doesn't update it dynamically, and I don't know why. I had a better way to do this. Hold on. Let me turn this off. Let me do a Display capture instead. There we go. All right. So, so there we go. Okay. So there you can see the tapestry. I was able to put it in one of the picture frames. So that's pretty cool. The study's over here. Sorry about that. And then you get into the ruined kind of lecture hall. And from here it circles back into the main space. So pretty cool. I had a lot of fun playing with this. This is a very nifty little... Go back outside. And, yeah. That's kind of it. Can't really go further than the map here. But yeah. That is the fun little toy here. I had a lot of fun playing around with this. I believe I can share this file with all of you for those who have Dungeon Alchemy. Even if you don't, I can share the map with you so that you can import it into whatever VTT you want to use. And you should be able to import it there. I'm missing one. Go ahead and put that in. We can even put all these in. Now if we go back down into his view, there's just a hedge wall. I was even able to customize the sign here. So, yeah, there you go. I wanted to start this stream by kind of showcasing something fun I've been playing around. Because I do think there's a lot of potential here for some fun stuff. I don't know that I can build everything here, and I don't know it'll be 100% accurate, but I can get it pretty close. All right. Well, that's that. So, yeah, I was pretty excited about that. I think there's some pretty fun stuff there. Lots of fun stuff to play around with. And yeah, that map was pretty easy to build. So I do think, you know, here, because it's eating up my whole screen. Yes, I want to save. No changes. All right. All right. So, there you go. Yeah, I thought that was something really fun. I saw an ad for that recently and picked it up. I didn't back it when it was a Kickstarter, but yeah, the great part is these maps that I build using this, and I'll do it certainly for the first part here, are something that then I think I can give to all of you in formats that you can easily. So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about that. Just a little bonus, a little perk for, you know, to say thanks for all of your patronage support. All right. So, always good to see progress. I'm glad to be able to show off some of this as it's now coming together and get kind of everybody as excited about this as I am, because as I see this stuff coming together, it's like, you know, it's happening. Yeah. It's weird. I've made hundreds, you know, dozens of books, hardcover books at this point in time, maybe even hundreds now, and I still get excited about just a little adventure that I did myself. So, anyway, let's talk about the Pale Dawn Festival. So, this is the end of part 2, right? They may or may not have found the book they need to locate Wolfran's brother yet. That happens at the end of part 2. They may or may not have found that yet. But nonetheless, the kind of the big moment in part 2 is actually the fight against the Gaunts and the attack on their lair and stuff. So this last day of the festival is really there to serve as kind of the denouement of the adventure, right? Of this part of the adventure. It's a bit of respite. It's meant to be fun. Like, this is here for the players to have kind of a good time and do some kind of low-key, low-stress activities that, frankly, maybe if they do real well, might earn them some bonuses, or some perks, or at the very least increase their standing with folks in the town. So that's the kind of main point of it. I think for me, the thing I'm trying to focus on in my design of it is to find a way to make sure that it's not just like a series of skill check challenges and then it's done, right? I don't want it to be just like a half-hour thing. But at the same token, each individual event can't be so big, can't be so monumental in the story that if a player decides not to participate because they don't think they'd be good at archery, for example, all of a sudden they don't have anything to do for an hour. So it's a delicate balance to walk. I've struggled with these sorts of encounters or these sorts of scenes in adventures before. It's really easy to create something that half the characters don't participate in. Now there's ways you can do that. You can have the events run simultaneously. You can have them just be shorter, but still filled with kind of a few interesting choices and then be done with it. So, for example, let me talk about the first one. So, it's a harvest festival. This seems like the perfect time to have an archery contest of some sort. Basic thing, there are targets you can hit. Now, there's a bunch of ways I could do this. And one, I think... Sorry, I'm oddly... My voice today is a little... My apologies. I think you can do an archery contest where it's just like everybody lines up and shoots at targets and you make attack rolls and earn points for hits until somebody wins. You can do that. It works. But it's not very exciting. It doesn't come with very many interesting choices. I was thinking about this. When it comes to Eventide, and especially the town of Wormbone, they wouldn't be in it for, like, fanciful, like, target archery. That's a sport for nobles. But for the Harvest Festival, they might actually do a bit more of an archery hunting course, right? The way it might work is more of a challenge, right? And if it's going to be dex-based, right? Because archery is inherently dex-based, maybe the way it works is that there's various vantage points, and you can only fire from the vantage points, right? But you have to be able to get between them, right? And there are various ways that you can get between them that require acrobatics or athletics checks, right? And even if you fail, you can just run around the obstacle to get to where you need to be, but that takes longer. And in doing so, you're going to get fewer shots, right? So being able to walk the balance beam between two locations to fire at a target, and maybe the answer is, it's a question of range penalties, right? There's targets, and you have to be able to, you don't know where they're going to pop up, and when the target pops up, you have to be able to shoot at it, and it's either going to be really close or really far. So I like the idea of, like, you can stay where you're at and fire, but you're going to take a penalty because of range. Or you can spend some of your time moving to a different place to fire, which is going to give you a better chance of success, but you're going to spend time moving there. So I think that's a more interesting contest, and it's maybe even something I can set up on a map. So that, even if it's a diagrammatic one, that is like, okay, understand this is where the targets are. This is where the targets might be. These are the 3 firing stands. This is where you can fire from. But you have to be able to get between them, and doing so is tricky, right? So that's kind of where I'm thinking that this can go. And that's kind of what I'm thinking about for all of these, right? Where I can. So in the archery contest, that makes the most sense. So I'm going to write a little here. So there's that. Now, when I look at the next one, the next contest I'm thinking about is some sort of food contest. Food eating contest. I'm thinking pie eating. Doesn't have to be pie, but I'm thinking pie eating. Now, there isn't a lot to do here, right? There isn't a lot of, like, weird things I can do here other than make people eat and make checks. But you might be able to do, like, an intimidation thing, or, you know, you could make it more of a psychological game between the various competitors, right? That, you know, the crowd jeering and whatnot can help you power on and give you a bonus, but you have to showboat, right? You know, so maybe this is a competition that is, like, I don't think it's one of those that you just sit down and eat as much as you can, as quickly as you can. It's more like there are rounds, and you have to eat each pie. And, you know, the crowd can give you a morale bonus if they are on your side, or possibly a penalty if they're not. Oh, that's interesting. You might be able... Oh, so maybe the pies... I like that. I like the idea of... So, there's an idea posted in chat here about... there might be some sort of spice challenge, or, like, the pies get more intense, right? Maybe they've got a special seasoning in them that increases with each pie, and it's not like heat, but it is like, you know, maybe it's a numbing agent, or maybe it's a drowsy agent, like you pass out. I like that idea. I do. I like that idea. That's fun. There's some fun stuff in there. So, like, already this is more interesting than just who can eat a bunch of pies quickly. You know, I think there's something interesting in just eat a bunch of pies quickly. But I do think it could be a bit more fun if there is something about it that is variable, right? Tryptophan challenge. Yeah. So yeah, there is that. I don't know. I like the concept. It could be that, you know, at the bottom of each pie tin there's points based on how spicy the pie is, or how challenging the pie is, right? Maybe some pies, you know, it could be the sort of thing where the pies, you can't tell what they are. And some pies are sweet, some pies are savory, some pies are gross. And it's like you have to go and try and make a perception check to determine what pie is going to be safe to eat. So yeah, there might be really spicy pies. There might be a pie with just like, yeah, this has curdled milk in it. Curdled milk pie, enjoy. Which I think could be fun. So that's something I'm playing around with. Now, somebody in chat here just mentioned the idea of like a 3-legged race or something. There is a foot race through an obstacle course. I don't currently have it slotted as a team event, but that doesn't mean it can't be. In fact, it could be interesting, even if it isn't like a 3-legged race thing. If it's could be a relay race of some sort, right? So that there's different segments of the course, and you have to decide who's going to do each segment. So maybe there's one that's about balance, and one that's about climbing and swinging, and one that's about you know, you could even do one that's like solving riddles, right? That's like, oh, get the wizard in there. He can go solve the riddles. It's not about going fast. It's about answering correctly. You know, so that could be fun. That's a way to make it more interesting. And basically, whenever you fail a check, you have to lose a turn and try again. So it becomes more like a modified version of the chase rules, where you're just trying to accumulate enough points to get out of your section of the obstacle course. right? Instead of it being, one check you make multiple times, there's multiple different checks and multiple different ways you can approach them. Yeah. Well, and it could be a thing where you are literally, where it's a relay race where you're literally trying to transport a thing. And when you get to the one that's about riddles or something, the first thing that happens when you get there is something takes it, and you have to determine which one's the real one. Like, let's say it's what you're carrying is a carved piece of wood, that's was from this year's carving competition, and you get to a room and there are like 4 copies of it, and you have to figure out which one's the real one. And you can guess multiple times, but again, every time you fail, you have to check again. So it could be a thing that tests your knowledge. It could test your perception. There's lots of different things here. I do like that as a concept. Now, there's part of me that's like, how many of these do I need? And the answer is, I don't know, 4 to 6 would be my guess. That's kind of where I'm at. I do have in here a log cutting competition. I don't know about that. I like the idea of a log cutting competition, especially if it's out on the water and you're trying to cut logs while you're on the water. But yeah, could do something like that. I like that idea, Laura. Something with the sun token or something. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I mean, there are ways that I could make some of this more even-tidy in looking back at that event. That's a possibility. I also have an endurance kind of swimming contest thing listed in here. Again, maybe there's some sort of and maybe this is the answer. Maybe there's in addition to the team race, there's like some sort of decathlon, right? Or triathlon, where there's a multi-stage, cut a bunch of logs, swim up the river, and then, I don't know, something else. Yeah. Tiger Eyes, you've got it, right? I mean, it is definitely something that I play with the not with the sickened condition, because if you have the sickened condition, you can't eat things. But I do think there are ways to do it where it's like, yeah, you're full, you're going to take a full penalty, which could just be a circumstance penalty. A story insult challenge is interesting. That's not a terrible idea. I think that there's some challenges with that, just because it assumes someone in your group is good and witty at doing that sort of stuff. I mean, you can always, I think all of these things you can always just boil down to skill checks. If you want, right, you can just kind of turn it into something, it's, well, you're not actually going to sit there and do the witty repartee. But, your character is supposed to be good at, so, skill checks are normal. I do like the idea of maybe some sort of decathlon. Maybe this is the relay race. Maybe it's not. Maybe the relay race has... It's possible that the grand chase might be a big thing. That is like, there's a swimming portion, and a log cutting portion, and a riddle portion, and an obstacle course portion. There's all these different portions that you can have various characters involved in various things. What I'd love to do is get something that has like 4 parts to it. That way a group of 4 can try and tackle it as a team. Do something that's character building. I'm fine with having some unique individual only events. But I do think that having one or, well, probably only one large group event could be very fun. I'm not sure that the PCs will win. This also is a good chance for me to have Grablin's Lot make an appearance. I should make a note about that. And have them appear, but not the Thunder Company. This becomes apparent in part 3 because the Thunder Company has already left. So, they were the other... If you recall in part 1, there are 2 other adventuring groups that go into the tower with the PCs. One is called Grablin's Lot, and the other one's the Thunder Company. The Thunder Company are a bunch of kind of mercenary badasses. Grablin's Lot are a bunch of first level nobodies. And in fact, the PCs have now out-leveled them and are now more experienced than they are. Tiger Eyes, that's interesting. I'm not sure if I want any of this to be magic-based. I do try and make sure that most of what happens in the Eventide setting isn't based in magic, because I want the appearance of magic to feel special. So using it in just a common activity or a thing, it would be interesting, but I think it makes more sense for it to just be like little wooden targets that get put up and you have to knock them down. I mean, admittedly, illusionary magic does fit well in occult magic, which is unaffected and pretty common. But again, I try to avoid kind of just displays of magic, because that's just not something that's done as much. So one of the things that I've been thinking about when it comes to this part of the adventure is, how do I make it more than just some contests? How do I kind of make it something that's truly just kind of nice and pleasantly rewarding? This is the day after Alipar Clifton's kind of traumatic event, right? This is literally the next day. So having him show up doesn't really make a lot of sense. I could see him showing up at the very end, maybe, to thank them for saving him. But I also kind of think that he's just been really badly traumatized and probably just needs to rest. I do like straw animals on police. That's nice. Yeah. I like that. I'll write that down. It kind of reminds me of like the duck hunting booth at the fair, right? Where the ducks go by and you have to shoot them with BB guns. Or water pistols. I don't know. It depends on the fair. So, yeah, I think that's kind of interesting. But the big question is, how do I make it more than just a couple of, random sporting challenges? What's the there? What's the special thing? And it can't be about the ring, because I don't know whether or not they will have found out about it yet. And they're probably not going to leave for Red Thistle for at least a few days or something. So they might be able to be thanked by the town council. That is fair. I think Havanok might play an interesting role here. Because Havanok is kind of known to the PCs now, is their contact in the Blue Banners, the kind of militia. And, that does make some sense. Now, it could also be that one of the town council members singles them out to thank them. That makes sense. I'm torn as to whether or not that should be Radolin Trevere, because he's kind of a snake in the grass. And most groups kind of recognize him. But if it's not Radolin, it's certainly not going to be the priest, the high priest. It would probably be the workers' seat council member. She might make a good person to have her come and chat with the people. So that's a possibility. That's a way to make them feel kind of better about themselves. But I think the more heartfelt one comes from Havanok, for saving Radolin, or for saving not Radolin, Alipar. That does seem like a good way to do it. Traveling merchants, that's kind of fun. There could be some interesting merchant opportunities. Like, the last caravan from Tusktown might be there. So Tusktown is the port way to the west on the other side of the mountains, and seeing as it's now getting toward the later part of the years, this would be one of the last caravans from Tusktown might be here, which would have strange things from there. Yeah, it could definitely do something like that, right? That could be fun. There should definitely be like alchemical rewards that are super useful, like, and actually quite valuable, and something that's kind of punching above the character's weight. So like level 4, level 5 alchemical items, that might be some of the rewards for some of these contests. That is certainly possible. It might also be the sort of thing where Havanok gives them something special. Because the one place where I do think magic can come into this is from the Dawnbringers. They are keepers of magic. They remember magic from the past. They explore it. They embrace it. So they are a good source. And that can come through Havanok as well. So I do think there needs to be, a moment with Havanok. What I'm trying to do here, basically, is create one session's worth of fun. It's archery, it's contests, it's, moments with some people, a moment with Havanok, visit from Hadram, competing with Grablin's Lot, and I'm going to put a note there, friendly. They're not mercenary. They're pretty friendly. And it might be interesting if during the foot race, a member from Grablin's Lot is willing to help the PCs if something goes wrong. So I think all of that really starts tying it together. Especially if they learn, once they've learned where the ring is. Then the rest of the adventure becomes clear. Although I suspect learning where the ring is and the end of this adventure is either they learn where the ring is, which happens after this festival, or this festival because they've already learned where the ring is. Now, if they haven't found the clues to where to find the location of the ring, the adventure does have some pointers in it that are like, oh, if they get stuck, Hadram comes up with some idea, right? Because Hadram's researching this as well. So Hadram is always there to be the PC's kind of out, to be the way for them to kind of get out of this situation and get another clue to get them to go. Tiger Eyes, I see a lot of your ideas there. Those look fun. I'm going to take a note of them, but I do think that there are some fun ways to kind of mix it up. Although I do like, I like the moment where it's like, okay, the spotlight is on this character because this is their leg of the race, which is fun, and that allows them to kind of have one of the things that can be tricky in something like this, right? So let's say there's an archery contest and a pie eating contest. Archery contest is going to be all about, decks and mobility. Pie eating contest probably going to be mostly about fort saves and stuff. So already the physical characters have an edge. The challenge with that sort of stuff is that the characters who aren't, good at that stuff just don't have anything to do for the whole. And as a result, don't have a chance to kind of shine. So I do think that giving something that requires them to kind of, everybody has a leg, everybody has a moment where the spotlight's on them and they have to solve, the problem. And maybe all they get beforehand are some cryptic riddles about what each part of the course is, and they have to decide who is doing what part before the race begins, right? So they have to make some decisions and hope that they pick right? And they don't put someone in an event that they can't actually do, which would be a problem. So, yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm starting to feel like I've got most of what I need. I don't know that there's much else for me to do. I can always introduce new elements here. I don't want to introduce anything to do with the loggers that are in part 3. They've already left. They're out in the Gemwood already, doing their thing, getting into trouble that the PCs will come to rescue them in. I don't want to do anything with them. This could be a point where I introduce them to some more NPCs. I'll have to look at my gazetteer and stuff and see if there's new characters I want to do. Feels like after the investigation, they've been introduced to a lot of characters. And I'd like to be able to continue that. It's a big town. There's lots of people. So maybe having a new character show up and introduce themselves, and maybe this is the point where they get like a sponsorship. Sponsorship offer. Right? Where some business is like, hey, I hear you're upcoming adventurers. Why don't you come and shop at my place? I want people to know that you're there. Like, this is a thing that what taverns would do. Like, why don't you come drink at my establishment? I'll cut you a deal, and everybody's going to want to be there to hear your daring tales of adventure. Right? Because in this world, adventurers are kind of seen as dangerous wild cards. Right? They're not viewed as safe people. That to some people is very attractive. That is something that, people find interesting. But there's a lot of people who are just like, yeah, I'm not trucking with adventurers. They're crazy. Yeah, I mean, I think there could be a, that log cutting competition might actually be a gemwood harvesting competition. Where you have to cut down the tree, and you're basically, everybody's given a chunk of a gemwood tree that they've harvested recently, and the competition is to see who ends up with the biggest gem. So not only do you have to cut the tree, you have to know how to do it so as to not damage the gem inside, because if you damage the gem inside, it's the biggest one, and if you cut it and crack it, well, now it's half the size, right? If this has a gem this big, and now it's half that size, right? You could do something interesting there. That's a possibility. It's also possible that they because they consider that such a skilled thing, that they wouldn't just let anyone do it, right? It's not like the only people who get to do it are skilled loggers. So it's possible that that's a thing you get to spectate, but unless you're really skilled at it, you don't get to. Which makes sense, right? It does seem weird that it's like, oh, we'll just let anyone do it, which could destroy a rather valuable gemstone. Yeah. This is my favorite shop in Wormbone. Yeah, no, exactly, yeah. Could have that kind of deal going on. That could work. I like that as a concept. All right. Well, there you go. That's kind of what I'm playing with. That's kind of what I'm writing down. That's what I'm in the middle of developing. I may end up running some of this in just 2 days. So some of this stuff has to come together here pretty quickly. I'll probably spend tomorrow night writing. Yeah, demonstration is fun. It could be, like, there can be things. I do find it interesting if there are things going on that the players are not involved in, to make it feel more like a well-rounded festival. It is always weird to me that a lot of times in games, when it's like, oh, hey, there's all these competitions, and the PCs sign up for all of them. And it's like, well, this is one that you wouldn't, there's a wood sculpting, competition that happens during this festival, but it's not about carving it during the festival. It's actually bring your most prized sculpture that you made this year, and we will judge which one is the best. There's elements that I think, I'm going to put a note in here, about kind of state fair atmosphere. So there's just like judging competitions, right? Like various, logging companies will come, and that's where the gemwood logging thing comes from. Then there's people doing judging of their wood sculptures, people doing, a cheese tasting, a cheese competition. There should be food and judging and that sort of stuff. right? And the PCs can go around and explore and learn things, and it could provide an interesting way for the player characters to start picking up skills, right? A chili cook-off, yeah, things like that, right? Where the PCs aren't participating, but they can taste. They can go around and have some of the food that's happening, right? I should come up with something deep fried that is at this festival. Some sort of deep fried delicacy. Probably something with dough and berries or something. It's fun. I like this idea. This is really good. Yeah, I just need to round out some of these ideas. So there you go. Honestly, folks, this is why I have this stream. Not only is it informative for you folks, because you get to see my creative process, but honestly, I now have a lot more to this than I did when we started. So that is awesome. That's going to help me make this thing happen. So we're running out of time here today. If anybody has any last minute questions, I will take them. Deep fried fruit tarts. Yeah. I like it. Something like that. Something fried. It's always something fried. Fairs always have something fried. You can certainly get your turkey leg. That's for sure. Anyway, that's what I have here today, everybody. So super exciting kind of developments going on here. We've got some interesting things coming together. The layout is getting close to being done for part 1. That is super exciting to me. The 3D render of part 1 is also nearly done. I'm excited to share that with all of you. I was wondering if folks fully caught on to that. I'm not sure where I posted it. Did I only put that in the Lord's chat? I think I did. Maybe I'll put it in the general here. I did a motion cap video and I put it up, but it's in the right. All right, folks. I got another stream starting here soon. Turkey leg. Yeah. Things were awful. Small anecdote. I worked in a Ren Fair for one summer back when I was in college. I had a lot of fun. But, boy, you get to see behind the scenes of how those places run, and I would not eat the I'm just saying. Word to the wise. Don't eat those. If anything like the fair I was at, I'm like, no, I wouldn't eat those. Good. All right, folks, that's all I have here tonight. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your patronage. We will be back next week with another Eventide video, hopefully sharing some more stuff. As always, thank you for your support. And for those of you who have backed my Hope Finder Kickstarter, thank you very much. We hit 20K today. We did the 20K unlock. Super excited about that. That is awesome and adds a cool stretch goal to everybody's pledge. So that is really cool. All right, everybody. I got another stream starting here in about 10 minutes, so I'm going to call this one to an end. Thank you for watching. In just 10 minutes, I'll be playing some 7 Days to Die over on my Twitch. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next time.